The security gate didn't open. Vincent Corleone sat in the back of his Maybach, watching the iron bars remain locked while rain hammered the roof like accusations. His estate, 23 acres of manicured perfection in Connecticut's wealthiest enclave, suddenly felt like someone else's fortress. The intercom crackled with static when his driver pressed it a third time. No answer. Something cold slithered down Vincent's spine. In the 18 months since he'd married Claire, his home had transformed into a well-oiled machine of efficiency. Gates opened before his car reached them. Staff anticipated his every need. His daughter Zara received round-the-clock care for her condition, lupus that had already stolen her childhood and now threatened everything else. But today, the company's servers had crashed at 2 p.m. Millions in transactions frozen. His IT team discovered someone had been siphoning data for months. And when Vincent tried calling home to check on Zara, every single line went to voicemail. He'd left the chaos behind and rushed home 3 hours early. Now the gate wouldn't open. "Sir?" His driver, Kenneth, turned with concern creasing his weathered face. "Ram it," Vincent said quietly. "Sir,
Sam. It.
Hey, beautiful people. Welcome back to the channel. And wow, do I have a story that's going to grip your heart and not let go. Before we dive into what Vincent discovers inside his own home, I need to know, where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments. I love seeing our global family grow. And listen, if you haven't subscribed yet, do that right now because stories like this, they're what we're all about here. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's get into this together. The Maybach's engine roared. The reinforced gate shuddered, bent, then surrendered with a screech of metal that sent birds exploding from nearby trees. Kenneth drove through the wreckage slowly, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. Vincent's pulse hammered in his ears as the circular driveway came into view. For cars he didn't recognize. The fountain, a wedding gift to Zara from her late mother, had been turned off, its basin collecting dead leaves. The roses Sarah had planted before the cancer took her were overgrown, strangled by weeds. How long had it been like this? He was out of the car before it fully stopped, Italian leather shoes splashing through puddles as he strode toward the double doors. They were locked. His own front doors. Locked against him. Vincent's hands shook as he pulled out his keys. The lock had been changed. The cold in his spine turned to ice. He moved to the side entrance near the kitchen, the one Sarah used to slip through when she'd been gardening. His key worked there, the door swinging open to reveal the chef's domain where millions of dollars in meals had been prepared. Empty.
Spotless. Cold.
No dinner preparation. No staff. The silence pressed against his eardrums like deep water. Vincent moved through his home like a stranger, each step revealing small wrongnesses that accumulated into something grotesque. Picture frames turned backward. The thermostat set to 62 degrees. Zara needed warmth. Her medication schedule, usually posted on the refrigerator in Claire's precise handwriting, was gone. Then he heard it. Crystal clinking against crystal. Laughter from the conservatory. Music, something classical and expensive sounding, the kind Claire loved and Sarah had hated. Vincent followed the sounds through the main hallway, past the portrait of his late wife that now hung in shadow instead of the spotlight he'd installed. Someone had moved it, diminished it. The conservatory doors were open. What he saw turned his blood to acid. 12 people. Strangers in expensive clothing, holding champagne flutes, laughing beneath the glass ceiling where rain created percussion against their celebration. Claire stood at the center in a cream-colored dress that cost more than most people's cars, her blonde hair swept up, her laugh bright and performative. And moving between the guests with a silver tray, head down, wearing a black maid's uniform that hung on her thin frame.
Zara. His daughter.
His 17-year-old daughter, whose medication alone cost $15,000 a month, whose lupus required rest, warmth, careful monitoring, whose dark skin, so like her mother's, so like his, looked ashen and waxy under the conservatory lights. She was serving drinks to strangers in her own home. Vincent's vision tunneled. The world narrowed to his child moving with the mechanical precision of someone who'd learned that obedience meant survival. Her hands trembled, whether from weakness or fear. He couldn't tell. The tray tilted, and a glass began to slide. "Careful, you stupid girl." Claire's voice cracked like a whip across the laughter. "That crystal is worth more than you'll ever be." Zara caught the glass, but champagne sloshed onto the uniform. She flinched, waiting for something. A blow? A punishment? The guests laughed as if this was entertainment. Vincent Corleone had built an empire from nothing. He'd survived poverty, racism, betrayal, and the loss of the only woman he'd ever loved. He'd learned to control his emotions, to weaponize his intelligence, to move through the world with the calculated precision that turned millions into billions. All of that control evaporated. "What?" he said, his voice cutting through the music like a blade through silk. "The hell is going on in my house?" The room froze. 12 heads turned. Claire's champagne glass stopped halfway to her lips, her blue eyes widening with something that looked almost like fear before her expression smoothed into surprise. "Vincent, darling, you're home early." "I was just..." But Vincent wasn't looking at her anymore. He was looking at his daughter, whose eyes met his for one desperate second before she dropped her gaze to the floor, and he saw it, the purple-yellow shadow of a bruise along her jawline, poorly covered with makeup. Someone had hit his child. In his house. While he'd been building his empire, someone had turned his home into a prison and his daughter into a slave. "Zara," he said softly, holding out his hand. "Come here, baby girl." She didn't move. She actually looked at Claire first, asking permission with her eyes. That's when Vincent Corleone understood. Whatever had been happening here wasn't new. It was a system. Organized. Enforced. And his daughter had been trapped in it long enough to forget she was free. The question that burned through him then, the one that would drive everything that came next, wasn't just who had done this. It was how many people had known and said nothing. Vincent kept his hand extended, his voice gentle despite the rage incinerating his insides.
"Zara, come to me. Now."
His daughter's thin fingers released the tray onto a side table. She moved toward him with small, careful steps, the walk of someone who'd learned that sudden movements brought consequences. When she finally reached him, Vincent pulled her against his chest and felt her entire body trembling. She weighed nothing, almost 20 pounds lighter than the last time he'd really held her, really looked at her. How long had that been? 3 weeks? A month? Shame joined the fury in his gut. "Get out," he said to the room without raising his voice. "All of you."
Now.
The guests scrambled for the exits like roaches when the lights came on. Claire remained, her champagne glass now set down with deliberate care, her expression shifting into something wounded and confused. "Vincent, I can explain." "You're misunderstanding what?" "Where are her medications?" He didn't look at Claire, couldn't trust himself to. Instead, he tilted Zara's face up gently, cataloging the damage. The bruise. The hollowness in her cheeks. The way her dark eyes, Sarah's eyes, wouldn't quite meet his. "Baby, where do they keep your medications?" The utility closet," Zara whispered. "With the cleaning supplies." Vincent's jaw clenched so hard his teeth ached. $15,000 a month in life-saving medication, stored with bleach and mops. "And your room? Are you still in your room?" Zara's silence was answer enough. "She's in the guest cottage," Claire said quickly, her tone turning defensive. "It made more sense, Vincent. You're never here, and she was taking up the entire East Wing with her medical equipment and nurses. The cottage is perfectly comfortable. The cottage has no heating." Vincent's voice dropped to something deadly quiet. "It's 50 degrees outside, Claire. My daughter has an autoimmune disease that requires warmth. You put her in an unheated cottage. I had a space heater installed. Where are her nurses? Where's her medical team? Claire's carefully applied makeup couldn't hide the flash of something ugly across her face. Those nurses were stealing from us, Vincent. I had to let them go. I've been managing Zara's care myself, and frankly, she's been fine. More than fine. Learning some responsibility has been good for her. You coddle her too much. Just because Sarah spoiled her doesn't mean. Vincent held up one hand, stopping her mid-sentence. He couldn't hear Sarah's name in this woman's mouth right now. Not when his late wife's daughter stood shaking against him, wearing a maid's uniform in her own home. Kenneth is still outside, Vincent said to Zara. I want you to go with him. He's taking you to Dr. Brennan at Columbia Presbyterian. Full examination. Full blood work. Everything. Vincent, that's completely unnecessary. If you speak again, Vincent interrupted, finally meeting his wife's eyes, I will forget you're a woman. Do you understand me? Claire's mouth snapped shut, but her blue eyes blazed with resentment. Zara pulled back slightly.
Daddy, I'm okay.
I don't need. Please. Vincent cupped her face in his hands, these hands that had signed billion-dollar deals, but had failed to protect his own child. Please, baby girl. Let me do this. Let me take care of you, like I should have been doing all along. Something cracked in Zara's expression. Her eyes filled with tears she was clearly trained not to shed. She nodded. As Kenneth led her out, Vincent turned to face the woman he'd married 8 months after Sarah's death. The woman he'd trusted with his home, his staff, his daughter. The woman whose perfectly manicured hands had struck his child. Now, Vincent said softly, you're going to tell me everything. And if you lie even once, Claire, even once, you'll discover exactly why people fear me in boardrooms. Claire's smile was ice. You have no idea what that girl is really like, Vincent. No idea what I've had to deal with while you were busy playing tycoon. That's when he knew she actually believed she was the victim here. And that made what was coming so much worse for her. Vincent pulled out his phone. I want every staff member in this house. In the main living room. 5 minutes. Claire's composure cracked. Vincent, you're being dramatic. 5 minutes. His roar echoed through the conservatory, shattering the careful control he'd maintained. Claire actually stepped backward, and something savage in Vincent was glad to see fear flash across her face. He strode through his mansion, throwing open doors, finding emptiness where there should have been people. The east wing, Zara's wing, had been completely cleared. Her bedroom, once filled with the bright colors Sarah had chosen, was now a stark guest room. The medical equipment gone. The photos of her mother removed. Even the purple armchair where Sarah used to read to her had vanished. They'd erased his daughter from her own home. Vincent's hands shook as he opened what used to be Zara's bathroom. It was pristine, untouched, smelling of expensive soap nobody used. He gripped the marble counter, forcing air into his lungs. His phone buzzed. Kenneth, she's asking for you. Won't let the doctors touch her until she talks to you. Vincent closed his eyes. Even now, traumatized and sick, Zara was trying to protect him from the truth. That was Sarah in her, that fierce, selfless love that had always humbled him. He texted back, tell her daddy's handling everything. She's safe now. Let them help her. When he returned to the living room, only 3 staff members waited. Maria, the housekeeper who'd been with them for 6 years. Gregory, the groundskeeper. And a young woman Vincent had never seen before, wearing the same black uniform Zara had been forced into. Where is everyone else? Vincent demanded. Maria, a stocky woman in her 50s who'd wept at Sarah's funeral, looked at the floor. Mr. Corleone, Mrs. Claire, she let most of us go. 3 months ago. Said you were downsizing. Downsizing. Vincent's voice was lethal. I never authorized any downsizing. She had papers, Gregory added quietly. Your signature. Said the household budget was being cut. Forged documents. Claire had forged his signature to fire his staff, the people who'd known and loved Zara, who would have protected her. And you? Vincent turned to the young woman he didn't recognize. Who are you? Bethany Sackler, sir. Her voice trembled. Mrs. Claire hired me 2 months ago. I was told I was hired as your daughter's personal attendant. Personal attendant? Vincent stepped closer. Is that what she called it? Bethany's eyes filled with tears. Sir, I swear I didn't know. Mrs. Claire said Zara was troubled, that the structure and discipline were part of her treatment, that you and the doctors had approved everything. The early mornings, the chores, her voice broke. I thought I was helping. When I questioned the bruises, Mrs. Claire said Zara hurt herself, that it was part of her condition. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Vincent saw the truth in her face. She'd been manipulated, used as another tool in Claire's systematic torture. Maria, Vincent said, his voice steadier now, cold with purpose. The security system. Claire said the cameras went offline when I called earlier. Maria's expression turned dark. Mrs. Claire had them disabled in certain areas. Said you wanted privacy. But, Mr. Corleone, she hesitated, then continued with quiet fury. I kept my phone. I have videos. Not many, but enough. I was waiting for the right time to show me. Maria pulled out her phone with shaking hands. Vincent watched the first video and felt something fundamental break inside him. Zara, scrubbing floors on her hands and knees while Claire stood over her with a riding crop. His daughter. His baby girl. Beaten like an animal in the home where her mother died. The second video was worse. And Vincent Corleone, who'd always believed in playing by rules, in legal channels and proper procedures, decided that some crimes demanded darker justice. Vincent watched the third video through a haze of rage, so complete it felt almost transcendent. Claire's voice, sharp and venomous. Your mother was a worthless ghetto princess who trapped a good man, and you're nothing but her diseased little shadow. You think you deserve this house? This life? You deserve nothing. Zara, crumpled on the floor, silent. Not even crying, just enduring. Vincent handed the phone back to Maria before he crushed it in his fist. How long? It started small, Maria whispered. A month after the wedding. Missing meals. Extra chores. Mrs. Claire said Zara was disrespectful, that she needed structure. Then you took that 3-week trip to Singapore and... She couldn't finish. And I left my daughter in hell. Vincent's voice was hollow. I gave that woman power of attorney for household decisions while I was gone. Gregory cleared his throat. Sir, there's something else. Mrs. Claire's been meeting with a lawyer. I overheard her on the phone last week. Something about guardianship papers and Zara's inheritance from her mother. The pieces clicked into place with nauseating clarity. Sarah had left everything to Zara in a trust, $8 million, accessible when she turned 18. In 4 months, Claire wasn't just abusing his daughter. She was trying to steal from her. Vincent pulled out his phone and dialed his head of security. Marcus, I need you at the Connecticut house.
Now.
Bring everyone. Full team. He'd barely hung up when his phone rang. Columbia Presbyterian. Dr. Brennan's name flashed on the screen. Mr. Corleone. The doctor's voice was tight with controlled anger. Your daughter is severely malnourished. Her lupus is in acute flare. Her kidney function is compromised. She has 3 broken ribs in various stages of healing, defensive wounds on her arms, and signs of sustained psychological trauma. When's the last time she received her medications? Vincent's knees nearly buckled. I don't know. She says 6 weeks. Someone has been giving her placebos, sugar pills, while telling her they were her immunosuppressants. Mr. Corleone, your daughter could have died. Another month of this, and we'd be discussing organ failure. The phone slipped from Vincent's hand. Bethany caught it, spoke quietly to the doctor, then ended the call. She's stable, Bethany said quickly, seeing Vincent's expression. He said she's stable now. They're admitting her, getting her on real medications. She's going to recover. Vincent braced himself against the wall, his billion-dollar empire suddenly meaningless against the weight of his failure. He'd been so consumed with work, with building his legacy, with proving that a black man from Baltimore's roughest projects could dominate Wall Street, that he'd abandoned the only thing that actually mattered. His daughter had been tortured for months, and he'd been too busy to notice. Mr. Corleone. Maria's hand on his arm was gentle. Zara never blamed you. Every time I managed to sneak her extra food or check on her, she'd ask about you. She was so proud of you. She'd say, "Daddy's changing the world, Maria. He's showing everyone what we can be." She didn't want to bother you with her problems. The tears came then, silent and burning. Vincent Corleone, who hadn't cried since Sarah's funeral, wept in his living room while his remaining staff pretended not to notice. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Stop digging, Vincent. You have no idea what you're risking. Some secrets should stay buried." He showed it to Gregory. "Who has access to my private number?" "Very few people, sir. Your executive team, family, and—" Gregory's face darkened. "Mrs. Clare insisted you add her brother to your contacts last month. Said it was for emergencies." Her brother? Vincent hadn't even known Claire had a brother. "Ryan Dawson," Maria said. "He's been here multiple times when you were away. He and Mrs. Clare would lock themselves in your office for hours." Vincent's office, where all his financial records were kept, his passwords, his access to everything. Another text arrived. "Your company's server crash today wasn't an accident. Walk away from whatever you're planning, or the next crash takes your entire empire down. You lose everything." Then a photo loaded. Vincent stared at it, ice flooding his veins. Zara, unconscious in a hospital bed. The photo was time-stamped 15 minutes ago. Someone was at Columbia Presbyterian.
Right now.
With his daughter. Vincent was already moving, shouting orders. "Maria, call the police. Tell them there's a threat at the hospital. Gregory, get my car." "Bethany." "I'm coming with you," she said firmly. "I know Claire's patterns, her contacts. You need me." Claire appeared in the doorway, her earlier fear replaced with cold calculation. "You can't prove anything, Vincent. And if you try, I'll bury you. My brother has copies of everything, your tax irregularities, your offshore accounts, every single questionable deal you've ever made. You want to destroy me? I'll burn your empire to ashes and make sure Zara watches." Vincent smiled then, and it was a terrible thing to see. "You just made your last mistake, Claire. You threatened my daughter." He turned to Bethany. "How well do you know Mrs. Clare's security protocols?" Bethany's expression hardened. "Well enough to dismantle them. Then let's go to war." The Maybach screamed through Connecticut back roads at 90 miles per hour. Vincent had 3 phones working simultaneously, one with his head of security, one with his legal team, one tracking Zara's room at Columbia Presbyterian through the hospital's security system he'd just paid a fortune to access. Bethany sat beside him, her fingers flying across a tablet. "Claire's brother, Ryan Dawson. He's not just her brother, Mr. Corleone. He's a disbarred attorney. Lost his license 3 years ago for embezzlement and witness tampering. Send me everything." "There's more." Bethany's voice dropped. "I found these in Claire's private office last week. I didn't understand what they meant then, but—" She handed him a folder. Vincent opened it and felt reality tilt sideways. Adoption papers. For Zara. Filed 4 weeks ago, listing Claire as the prospective adoptive parent and Vincent as mentally unfit due to work-related psychosis and depression following spouse's death. A death certificate, his death certificate, predated to 6 months ago, marked as pending activation. Insurance policies. New ones. With Zara as the sole beneficiary and Claire as her legal guardian. And photographs.
Dozens of them.
Vincent with various women at business dinners, photoshopped to look intimate. Vincent leaving buildings that didn't exist, timestamps fabricated. An entire false narrative of infidelity, instability, moral corruption. She was going to kill me, Vincent said softly. Frame me as an unfit father, adopt Zara, then kill me and make it look like suicide. She'd get everything, my fortune, Sarah's trust fund, total control. There's a life insurance policy, Bethany confirmed, her voice shaking. $50 million. Taken out 2 months after your wedding. Your signature is forged. I've seen enough of Claire's work to recognize it now. Vincent's phone buzzed. His head of security. We've got eyes on the daughter's room. 2 men stationed outside, not hospital security. Private contractors.
Armed.
Another buzz. His lawyer. Vincent, we have a problem. Guardianship papers were filed in family court yesterday. Emergency hearing scheduled for tomorrow morning. Claire's claiming you've been threatening her and Zara, that you're having a breakdown. There's a restraining order being processed right now that would bar you from seeing your daughter. The pieces fell into place with horrifying clarity. The company's server crash wasn't just leverage, it was evidence. Claire and Ryan had been planting financial irregularities for months, creating a paper trail that made Vincent look unstable, criminal, dangerous. The guests at the house today weren't random. They were witnesses, prepared to testify about his violent outburst when he came home. Zara's abuse wasn't just cruelty. It was strategy. Break the girl down, isolate her, make her dependent and terrified. Then when Vincent finally noticed, Claire would claim he was the abuser, that she'd been protecting Zara all along. The bruises, the malnutrition, they'd all be blamed on him. And with Zara too traumatized and sick to testify clearly, with forged documents and manufactured evidence, with witnesses and lawyers, and a perfectly constructed narrative, Claire would have won. Pull over, Vincent said suddenly. Sir? Pull over. The Maybach screeched to the shoulder. Vincent stumbled out and vomited into the grass, his billion-dollar suit spattered with mud and rain. The woman he'd married, the woman he'd brought into his home, into his daughter's life, had orchestrated a systematic plan to steal everything and destroy them both. And he'd been so blind, so arrogant, so consumed with his empire that he'd handed her the weapons to do it. Bethany appeared beside him with a water bottle. Mr. Corleone, I need to tell you something. I'm not just a maid Claire hired. Vincent looked up at her, really looked for the first time. She was younger than he'd thought, maybe 25. But her eyes held something harder, more knowing. My real name is Bethany Sackler. I'm a private investigator. Your late wife's sister, Jennifer, hired me 6 months ago. Vincent's world tilted again. Sarah's sister? Jennifer, and I haven't spoken since the funeral. She blamed me for Sarah's death. I know. Bethany's expression softened. But 3 months ago, Zara managed to get a message out through a library computer. One email before Claire's monitoring caught it. It went to Jennifer. Just 3 words. Help me. Please. She showed him her phone. The email, dated 12 weeks ago, sent from Zara's account to an address Vincent didn't recognize. Jennifer couldn't approach you directly. Claire had already started the legal groundwork to paint any interference as family harassment. So she hired me to get inside, document everything, and build a case. Mr. Corleone, I have 3 months of evidence. Videos, recordings, financial documents. Everything we need to bury Claire and her brother. Vincent grabbed her shoulders. The men at the hospital. They're not there to hurt Zara. They're Jennifer's people. Protection detail. The photo Claire sent was meant to panic you, make you act rashly. She needs you to look unstable for tomorrow's hearing. Then we don't give her that. Vincent stood, wiping his mouth, his mind already racing through possibilities. We give her something else entirely. He pulled out his phone and called Claire. She answered on the first ring, her voice smug. Ready to negotiate, darling? Meet me at the house, Vincent said. 1 hour. Come alone, and I'll sign whatever you want. My company, my assets, everything. Just leave Zara out of it. Claire's laugh was poison honey. I knew you'd see reason. 1 hour. Vincent hung up and turned to Bethany. How good are you at wearing a wire? She smiled, and it was fierce. Let me show you how good I really am. The house felt different when Vincent returned. Colder. The shadows sharper. He'd left Gregory and Maria with specific instructions, sent his security team to coordinate with Jennifer's people at the hospital, and now stood in the foyer of what had once been a home, but had become a crime scene. Bethany adjusted the wire beneath her uniform. Audio and video. Jennifer has a judge standing by. Everything Claire says is being recorded and transmitted in real time. And if she searches you?
She won't.
Bethany's expression hardened. I've played the terrified, compliant girl for 3 months. She thinks I'm spineless. That's the mistake they all make. Vincent checked his watch. 45 minutes until Claire arrived. He moved through the house, forcing himself to see it through Zara's eyes. The guest cottage where she'd frozen through autumn nights. The utility closet where her life-saving medications had been stored like trash. The conservatory where she'd been displayed like a servant for Claire's entertainment.
His phone rang.
Columbia Presbyterian. Mr. Corleone, Zara's asking for you. Dr. Brennan's voice was gentler now. She's stable, but emotionally, she needs her father. I can't. The words tore out of him. There's a restraining order being filed. If I show up, Claire can claim I'm violating it, that I'm dangerous. It'll destroy everything we're building against her. She's 17 and traumatized, Vincent. She thinks you've abandoned her again. The knife twisted deeper. Tell her daddy's fighting for her. Tell her I love her more than my own life. And tell her I'm sorry. For everything. He hung up before his resolve cracked. Another call. This one from his lawyer, and the news was devastating. Vincent, the restraining order just went through. Emergency filing. A judge signed it 20 minutes ago. You're barred from contact with Zara, from the hospital, from any communication until the hearing tomorrow. Claire claimed you assaulted her today, that witnesses saw you threaten her life. That's insane. I never touched her. She has photographs. Bruises on her wrists, her arms. A medical report from an ER visit 3 hours ago claiming you grabbed her violently during your psychotic episode. Vincent's blood turned to ice. I never laid a hand on her. She was here. She left right after I did. How could she? Then he understood.
The guests.
Claire's carefully planted witnesses. And Ryan, her brother, who'd probably been waiting at an ER with a cooperative doctor, ready to fabricate injuries the moment Vincent confronted her. There's more, his lawyer continued. The financial irregularities in your company, the SEC, has been contacted. There's going to be an investigation. Your assets are being frozen pending review. Vincent, someone's been planning this for a very long time. Vincent sank into Sarah's favorite chair, the one piece of furniture Claire hadn't managed to erase. How long do I have? The hearing's at 9 a.m. If Claire presents her case and you can't counter it effectively, you'll lose custody. With the restraining order and the financial investigation, the judge could rule you unfit. Zara becomes a ward of the state or... He paused. Or Claire's emergency guardianship petition gets approved. Over my dead body. Vincent, that might be exactly what she's planning. The call ended. Vincent sat in the growing darkness, surrounded by ghosts. Sarah, who'd trusted him to protect their daughter. Zara, who'd suffered in silence rather than burden him. His own arrogance, his blind faith that money and power could shield the people he loved. He'd been so wrong. Bethany appeared in the doorway. Mr. Corleone, there's something else. I found these in Claire's bedroom safe. She handed him a small vial.
Poison.
Slow-acting, meant to mimic lupus complications. The sugar pills she was giving Zara? I had them tested. They weren't just placebos. Vincent stared at the vial, understanding flooding through him with sickening certainty. Claire wasn't just trying to steal Zara's inheritance. She'd been slowly killing her. She was going to let my daughter die, Vincent whispered. Make it look natural. Blame it on the disease. And then comfort you through your grief, Bethany finished. Become the devoted widow when you followed Zara shortly after. Suicide from depression. No one would question it. Outside, headlights swept across the windows. Claire had arrived early, and Vincent wasn't ready. The wire Bethany wore suddenly felt like their only weapon against a woman who'd been orchestrating murder for months. Hide, Vincent told Bethany. Don't come out unless I signal. If this goes wrong. It won't, Bethany said firmly. We don't let it. But as Claire's heels clicked across the marble foyer, Vincent wondered if confidence was enough against someone who'd proven herself a master of deception. The door opened, and Claire's smile was the most terrifying thing Vincent had ever seen. Claire swept into the living room like she owned it, which, Vincent realized with cold clarity, she believed she would very soon. She'd changed into a black dress, elegant and severe. The picture of a woman in mourning, though no one had died yet. You look terrible, darling, she said, her voice dripping false concern.
I've been so worried about you.
This breakdown has been so hard to witness. Vincent remained seated, forcing his body language to read as defeated. Broken. Where's Ryan? My brother is handling some final details. This is between us, Vincent. Husband and wife. She sat across from him, crossing her legs with practiced grace. I want you to know I take no pleasure in this. In what? Stealing my company? Poisoning my daughter? He watched her face carefully. Claire's expression didn't flicker. Such wild accusations. That's exactly what I told Dr. Hendricks you'd say. The paranoia, the delusions, they're classic signs of your condition. It's why I had to take steps to protect Zara. That poor girl has been caught in the middle of your deteriorating mental state. Is that what you told the judge? I told the truth. Claire leaned forward, her blue eyes cold and calculating. That you've been unstable since Sarah's death. That you've neglected Zara, forgotten her medications, left her care to staff while you obsessed over your empire. That when I tried to provide structure and discipline, you became violent, threatening. The bruises on your arms are self-inflicted. They're documented evidence of domestic violence. I have witnesses, Vincent. 12 people saw you storm into the house today, screaming, out of control. They heard you threaten to kill me if I spoke. Vincent forced himself to remain calm. Somewhere, Bethany was recording every word. What do you want? I want what's fair. Claire's smile was razor-sharp. Sign over primary custody of Zara to me. Transfer your power of attorney. Give me access to Sarah's trust fund as Zara's guardian. And $50 million from your personal accounts for the emotional distress you've caused. And if I refuse? Then tomorrow's hearing will be very unpleasant for you. The SEC investigation will reveal some troubling financial decisions. Your company will collapse. And Zara. Claire paused, letting the threat hang. Zara's lupus is so unpredictable. Even with the best care, sometimes these things just happen. You know that better than anyone. Sarah fought so hard, and still the disease won. There it was, the confession wrapped in silk. Vincent's hands clenched, but he kept his voice level. You've been poisoning her. I've been managing her care, Claire corrected smoothly. If her condition worsened under the stress of your instability, well, that's unfortunately common with autoimmune disorders. Dr. Hendricks will testify to that effect. Dr. Hendricks works for you. Dr. Hendricks is a respected physician who's documented Zara's decline and your negligence. Really, Vincent, you have no moves left. Sign the papers or lose everything, including your daughter's life. Vincent stood slowly, walking to the window. In the glass reflection, he could see Claire's satisfied expression. She thought she'd won. Thought he was cornered. He pulled out his phone. Who are you calling? Claire's voice sharpened. Someone who deserves to hear this. Vincent pressed dial. The phone rang once, then Jennifer's voice came through the speaker. Vincent. Jennifer, I need you to listen carefully. I'm here with Claire. I want you to hear what she has to say about your sister. About what she's been doing to Sarah's daughter. Claire's face went white. Hang up that phone. Claire's been poisoning Zara, Vincent said clearly. She just admitted it. She's been systematically torturing her, planning to kill her, to steal her inheritance. The same way she planned to kill me. You bastard, Claire hissed, lunging for the phone. Vincent stepped back. Jennifer, are you recording this? Every word. Jennifer's voice cracked with fury. And so is the judge. Claire froze, understanding flooding her features.
No.
No, you can't. The wire, Vincent said quietly. Bethany's been wearing a wire this entire time. Every threat, every confession, every detail of your plan, it's all been recorded and transmitted to a federal judge. It's over, Claire. The door burst open. FBI agents flooded in, led by Jennifer herself, her face a mask of righteous rage. Claire Corleone, you're under arrest for attempted murder, child abuse, fraud, and conspiracy to commit murder. Claire's composure shattered. She screamed, lunging for Vincent with her nails extended. Two agents grabbed her, forcing her to the ground while she shrieked obscenities. Ryan Dawson was brought in moments later, handcuffed, his face ashen. Vincent watched them both dragged away, but felt no triumph. Only exhaustion. Zara, he said to Jennifer, I need to see my daughter. Jennifer's expression softened. The restraining order was revoked 10 minutes ago. Let's go bring her home. Finally, Vincent could breathe. The hospital corridors blurred past as Vincent ran. He didn't care about the nurses calling after him, didn't care about protocol or visiting hours. Jennifer kept pace beside him, her heels clicking a desperate rhythm on the linoleum. Room 847, she gasped. She's been asking for you every 10 minutes. Vincent's heart was a war drum in his chest. The numbers climbed, 842, 844, 846, and then he was there, standing before the door that separated him from his daughter. His hand trembled on the handle. What if she doesn't forgive me? The words escaped before he could stop them. Jennifer, I left her there. For months, I left her in hell. Sarah's sister, who'd blamed him for years, who'd cut him out of her life after the funeral, placed her hand over his. She loves you, Vincent. That child has loved you through everything. Now stop talking and go be her father. He pushed open the door. Zara lay in the hospital bed, dwarfed by white sheets and medical equipment. IVs fed medication into her thin arms. Monitors beeped softly, tracking the heartbeat that Claire had tried to stop. Her natural hair, which Claire had forced her to straighten, was pulled back, revealing a face so achingly like Sarah's that Vincent's breath caught. She turned her head when he entered. Those eyes, her mother's eyes, dark and deep and filled with a strength that defied everything she'd endured, met his.
Daddy.
Her voice was small, uncertain, as if she couldn't quite believe he was real. Vincent crossed the room in 3 strides and gathered her into his arms, careful of the IVs, mindful of her broken ribs, but unable to stop himself from holding the child he'd failed. She was so light, so fragile, and yet she clung to him with surprising strength. I'm sorry, he whispered into her hair. Baby girl, I'm so sorry. I should have seen it. I should have protected you. I should have. You came, Zara interrupted, her voice muffled against his chest. You came and you saved me. That's what matters, Daddy. You saved me. You shouldn't have needed saving. Not from your own home. Zara pulled back slightly, and Vincent saw tears streaming down her face. But she was smiling, a real smile, the first he'd seen in months. Mama used to say you had a superhero complex, that you thought you had to save the whole world by yourself. Vincent's throat closed. Your mama was a wise woman. She also said that even superheroes need help sometimes. That asking for help isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Zara's hands gripped his. I should have asked for help sooner. I thought I could handle it. I didn't want to bother you when you were doing such important work. When you were making such a difference. Zara, listen to me. Vincent cupped her face gently, careful of the fading bruises. There is nothing more important than you. Not my company, not my reputation, not my empire. You are my daughter. You are Sarah's legacy. You are the only thing in this world that truly matters. Do you understand me? She nodded, fresh tears falling. Is Claire really gone? She's not coming back. She's in federal custody. She'll spend the rest of her life in prison for what she did to you. Her and Ryan both. Vincent's voice hardened. They can't hurt you anymore. I swear on your mother's grave, no one will ever hurt you again. Jennifer stepped forward, her own eyes red. Zara, honey, I'm so sorry I wasn't there. When I got your email, I wanted to storm in immediately, but the lawyer said. You sent Bethany, Zara interrupted softly. She was kind to me. When no one was watching, she'd sneak me food. Real medicine. She told me help was coming, that I just had to hold on a little longer. You saved me too, Aunt Jennifer. The three of them stayed like that, a broken family beginning to heal, while outside the hospital room, the consequences of Claire's actions rippled outward. Dr. Hendricks was arrested in his office, his medical license permanently revoked. The 12 witnesses from Claire's party were brought in for questioning, and under pressure, most admitted they'd been paid to lie. The forged documents, the fabricated evidence, the elaborate conspiracy, all of it unraveled under federal investigation. Vincent's company weathered the storm. His legal team, armed with proof of the sabotage, cleared his name with the SEC. The financial irregularities Claire and Ryan had planted were exposed and removed. Within 72 hours, his empire was secure. But none of that mattered as much as the moment Dr. Brennan entered with Zara's test results. The poisoning was caught early enough, he said, relief evident in his voice. We're flushing the toxins from her system. With proper medication and care, her kidney function should return to baseline. She'll need monitoring, but Zara, you're going to be okay. Zara's grip on Vincent's hand tightened. I can come home? Soon, Dr. Brennan promised. A few more days of treatment and you'll be discharged. After he left, Vincent turned to his daughter. When you do come home, things are going to be different. I'm stepping back from the company.
Promoting my COO to CEO.
I'll stay on the board, but my priority is you. School, treatment, recovery, whatever you need. We're going to do this together. Daddy, you don't have to. Yes, I do. Vincent's voice was firm. I built an empire, Zara. I wanted to prove something to the world, to show everyone that a black man from Baltimore could reach the highest heights. And I did that. But in the process, I almost lost the only treasure that actually matters. Your mother would never forgive me if I made that mistake again. I won't forgive myself. Zara smiled through her tears. Mama would be proud of you. You know that, right? Not for the money or the success. For this. For choosing me. I should have chosen you from the beginning. You did, Zara said softly. You just forgot for a little while. But you remembered when it counted. That's what heroes do, Daddy. They remember what matters. Jennifer wiped her eyes. Sarah would be so proud of you both. And Zara, I promise you're never going to be alone again. I'm back in your life, and I'm not going anywhere. Vincent looked at his daughter, at his sister-in-law, at the fragile beginning of healing, and felt something he hadn't experienced in months.
Hope.
The war was over. Claire was defeated. Zara was safe. And for the first time since Sarah's death, Vincent Corleone understood that his greatest success wouldn't be measured in billions. It would be measured in the strength of his daughter's smile as she recovered, as she grew, as she lived the life Claire had tried to steal. That was victory. That was everything. 3 months later, the Connecticut house looked completely different. Vincent stood on the back terrace, watching Zara laugh with her friends by the pool. Real friends from her new school, not the isolated, controlled existence Claire had enforced. Her skin glowed with health, her natural curls bouncing in the spring sunshine. She'd gained back the weight, and more importantly, the light in her eyes had returned. The east wing had been completely restored. Purple walls, Zara's favorite color, just like her mother's. Photos of Sarah everywhere, no longer hidden or diminished. The medical equipment was there, but managed by a team of nurses Zara had helped interview and select. Her choice, her voice, her life. She looks happy, Jennifer said, joining him with 2 glasses of lemonade. Really happy. She's strong, like Sarah. Vincent accepted the glass, his voice thick with emotion. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, for something to go wrong. That's trauma talking. You're both healing. Give it time. Jennifer paused. The trial date was set, by the way. Claire and Ryan's attorneys tried for a plea deal. The prosecutor refused. They're going for maximum sentences. Vincent nodded. The evidence had been overwhelming. Beyond Bethany's recordings and Maria's videos, forensic accountants had uncovered the full scope of Claire and Ryan's conspiracy. They'd targeted Vincent specifically, researched his grief over Sarah, his workaholic tendencies, his guilt over not being there during her final days. They'd crafted the perfect trap, and he'd walked right into it. Almost. I got something in the mail yesterday, Vincent said quietly. From Claire. A letter. Jennifer's expression hardened. You didn't read it. I did. He pulled the letter from his pocket. She still thinks she's the victim. Says I drove her to it with my neglect. That Zara was disrespectful and needed discipline. That everything would have been fine if I'd just signed the papers and accepted my role. She's a sociopath. She's going to prison for 40 years minimum. That's what matters. Vincent crumpled the letter. She can't hurt us anymore. A splash from the pool drew their attention. Zara had jumped in, her friends cheering. Dr. Brennan had cleared her for swimming just last week, another milestone in her recovery. Bethany emerged from the house, no longer wearing a maid's uniform but dressed casually in jeans and a sweater. She'd stayed on, not as an investigator or employee, but as something closer to family. Zara had bonded with her, and Vincent trusted her in a way he'd never trust easily again. Mr. Corleone, your 4 o'clock is here, Bethany said. Vincent checked his watch. Send him to my office. The office had changed too. Where Claire and Ryan had contaminated it with their schemes, Vincent had completely renovated. New furniture, new security systems, and most importantly, a wall of photographs, Zara through the years from birth to last week. A reminder of what actually mattered. His guest was already waiting. Marcus Webb, his new head of security, stood beside a young black man in his early 20s, nervous energy radiating from every pore. Vincent, this is Terrence Mills, Marcus said. The young man I told you about. Vincent extended his hand. Terrence. Marcus says you're brilliant with cybersecurity. Yes, sir. Terrence's handshake was firm despite his nerves. I taught myself coding in high school, got scholarships to MIT, graduated top of my class. I've been working freelance, but I want something more permanent. Something that matters. What matters to you? Vincent asked, settling into his chair. Terrence didn't hesitate. Making sure what happened to your daughter never happens to anyone else. When Marcus told me about the surveillance systems you're developing, technology to detect abuse in homes, algorithms to flag financial manipulation, AI that can identify patterns of coercive control, sir, that's revolutionary. That's using technology to protect people who can't protect themselves. Vincent studied the young man, seeing echoes of his own younger self. Hungry, determined, brilliant. This project isn't about profit. It's personal. I'm partnering with domestic violence organizations, shelters, Child Protective Services. We're creating tools to catch monsters like Claire before they destroy lives. I understand, sir. And I want to be part of it. The pay is good, but not exceptional. The hours are brutal. And you'll be dealing with some of the darkest aspects of human nature. Terence met his eyes steadily. My mother died when I was 12. My stepfather told everyone it was an accident. It wasn't. Nobody caught it, nobody saw the signs. If technology like this had existed then, his voice cracked slightly. I want to build this, Mr. Corleone. Not for the money. For every kid like me. Like Zara. Vincent stood, extending his hand again. Welcome to the team, Terence. Start Monday. After the meeting, Vincent returned to the terrace. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. Zara had gotten out of the pool and was wrapped in a towel, talking animatedly with Jennifer about something, probably the art class she'd enrolled in or the college visits they were planning. 18 in 1 month. Sarah's trust fund would be fully accessible. But more importantly, Zara would be an adult, stepping into a future that had almost been stolen from her. Daddy, Zara called out, waving him over. Tell Aunt Jennifer about the scholarship. Vincent joined them, and Zara's excitement was infectious. I got accepted to Howard. Full scholarship for their pre-med program. They called this morning.
Pre-med.
Vincent's heart swelled with pride. You want to be a doctor? I want to help people like Dr. Brennan helped me. People with lupus, with autoimmune diseases. I want to do research, find better treatments. Her eyes shone with purpose. Mama always said our pain could become our purpose. I think this is mine. Vincent pulled her into a hug. Your mother would be so incredibly proud of you. I'm so incredibly proud of you. I couldn't have done it without you, Daddy. You saved me. No, baby girl. You saved yourself. You survived. You held on. You're the strongest person I know. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the three of them sat together. Vincent, Zara, and Jennifer, a family rebuilt from tragedy. The house that had been a prison was now a home again. The daughter who'd been broken was now thriving. The father who'd been blind now saw clearly. Maria brought out dinner. Gregory had replanted Sarah's rose garden, and the sound of laughter filled spaces that had known only silence and fear. Later that night, after everyone had gone to bed, Vincent stood in Zara's doorway, watching her sleep peacefully. No nightmares tonight. No fear. Just the steady breathing of a young woman who'd survived hell and emerged stronger. He thought about Sarah, about the promise he'd made at her deathbed to protect their daughter. He'd broken that promise, but he'd also kept it in the end. Sarah would forgive him. He was learning to forgive himself. His phone buzzed. A text from his COO. The new domestic violence detection software just prevented its first case. A woman in Oregon, being isolated and financially controlled by her partner. The algorithm caught it. She's safe now. Vincent smiled in the darkness. Clara tried to destroy them, but instead, she'd revealed his true purpose. Not just building wealth, but using that wealth to protect the vulnerable. To catch the predators. To save the daughters. One life saved. Then another. Then another. That was legacy. That was redemption. That was love. Thank you so much for staying with this journey, beautiful people. Vincent and Zara's story reminds us that it's never too late to choose what matters, to fight for the people we love, to turn our pain into purpose. If this story touched your heart, drop a comment below telling me what resonated with you most. Was it Vincent's redemption? Zara's strength? The justice served? I read every single comment, and your thoughts mean the world to me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and join our family. We're building something special here. Stories that matter. Characters that feel real. Emotions that hit deep. Until next time, remember, the strongest love is the love that fights back. The truest strength is the strength to begin again.
Stay blessed.
Stay strong. And never stop fighting for the people who matter.